The SuperThwak Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the SuperThwak Podcast. Today we are on episode 76. We have some pretty heavy and important topics to talk about today.
Yes.
I mean, not all of them are, but a couple of them are.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So yeah.
First, we start off with the overall Oscars winners, and I don't know if we really go into too many of the, what do you call them?
Losers?
Sure, we'll call them losers. I was going to say candidates.
Candidates.
Or nominees.
Yeah, some snubs and whatnot, what have you.
Yes. And then next,
we have the slap heard around the world.
It is all I've heard about for the last, 24 hours.
I think it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it is.
No, we never seen shit like this before.
Yes. And then we move on to a special release deleted scene from a film that we were extra moist about.
Yeah, extra moist about. Yeah.
Like soggy moist.
Like soggy bread.
And then Damian said he had a special announcement, but he pulled it back at the last minute. So
Yeah.
that is what it is. We will see you guys in a moment.
Fucking commercials had the fucking Australian guy fucking narrating it.
That's fair.
Yeah. So yeah, I used to think the Subarus were Australian.
They were Australian.
Yeah. Buy yourself a Subaru hatchback. A Subaru. Go buy yourself a Subaru. What do they fucking make? Go buy yourself a. Go buy yourself a Subaru Forest. No, I almost did a Boston accent. Forest. No, I can't do it. Outback.
Subaru Crosstrek.
Yeah, go buy yourself a. All right, I'm stuck in the Italian mobster voice.
I thought you were fucking Australian, bro.
I can't do it.
Let's go fucking slap some.
Who slaps? What?
Do it with a Boston accent.
I know it's odd.
Oh my god.
It's fucking odd. It's so hard to not. It's so hard not to fucking talk in a Boston accent anymore.
Oh, I remember I went out to when I was working when I first started at Waste Management. I went. They flew us out to Florida for training.
Florida, yeah.
And there was these two dudes from Boston that were best fucking friends.
Nice.
And I was fairly drunk one night. And I was walking to go take a piss, and it was right next to the pool area. You had to there was a lock gate you have to go through.
Yeah.
And I didn't pay attention to the dude fucking 10 paces behind me. And I closed the gate, and he started fucking going off on me in his Boston accent. He's like, "What the fuck you doing, dickhead? I'm right behind you." I'm like, "I'm sorry. I don't know what to do right now." I was like, I'm going to get fired for getting into a fight with this fucking asshole for no reason.
Damn.
Oh, man.
Fucking, throw some shrimp on the bobby.
That's what I was trying to get out of my mouth. But I just couldn't do it.
Did you know Keith Urban is Australian?
How did you not know that?
I mean, I just found out. And, what the fuck does he know about fucking, the West?
I mean, as much as his wife does.
I know. I was just trying to reference Sam Elliott. Keith Urban. He has that song, Your Body is a Wonderland.
No.
Your body is a wonderland.
That is 100% John Mayer.
Oh, shit. Who is the guy that sings, You're beautiful?
James Blunt.
Oh, yeah. You're beautiful. It's true.
I
Saw your face in a crowded place.
My favorite part of that song is, and I was fucking high, and
That's what he says.
yeah. Well, the edited version is I was flying high. You go listen to the unedited version. It's I was fucking high.
Damn, dude.
How has your week been?
You learn something every day.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Depends on who you hang out with.
Dude, yeah.
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 How have you been the last 2 weeks?
I've been all right. I've been all right. Yeah, no, but I've been all right. It's been a couple weeks. As you go on in life, you realize that You know, you as you go on in life, you find that your weeks kind of just blend into each other.
Yes.
And, you know, there's not much that really goes on.
I feel like
Does that describe...
I feel like I should call you Donnie.
Donnie?
Like every time you throw on that accent, I feel like I'm talking to like Donnie Wahlberg.
It's kind of funny because they call my brother Donnie. This is his
Donovan.
nickname. Donovan, yeah.
Makes
They
sense.
call him Donnie, but, you know. But yeah, you know,
You don't have like
a nickname?
yeah, other than Dame.
When I worked at American Furniture, all my friends called me El Japo. The Japanese
And
they
the
got
Chapo.
Chapo, yeah. These are my Mexican friends too.
I was
They
like,
just call me
I was
El
gonna say that's about racist, but
Yeah,
it's not
they
that
call me El
racist.
Japo. That was my nickname, but yeah, I don't have a nickname other than that. D. Steven calls me D.
So like the basic shit, like D,
The basic
Dame.
shit. You know, I never got anything special. I never,
Oh,
you know.
fuck.
So, but yeah, the past couple weeks have been fairly busy, fairly monotonous, fairly trivial, fairly. Trying to think of big words. Fairly thesaurus. That way, I don't have to say specific words. You can just
So just read the whole fucking thesaurus.
Yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, no, it's all right. What about you? How's your week? Ant or Tony? Tony.
I got Ant more than Tony.
Hey, Tony, how's your fucking week been?
And now you go back to the Italian.
I know. I love doing it.
It's fantastic.
It's fun.
It is fun.
Yeah.
I do accents a lot when I'm not on camera.
When you're by yourself?
I have a harder time when I'm actually on the spot. And like, I feel like Ricky Bobby. I just don't know what to do with my hands.
You ever do some shit when you're by yourself and you make yourself laugh, and after you laugh, you sit for a second and then you start crying?
I mean, not. The only time I cry is when I watch films. I don't cry at real life events for some reason.
Yeah, I heard you cried on Jackass Forever.
No.
No?
No.
What was it?
Me and my wife were watching Bel Air.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was basically like almost like a 1-for-1 scene of the Will Smith and Uncle Phil scene, like where his dad leaves and shit.
Why'd you leave me, man? Did you cry because you were high, or did you?
It was
cry
because I was high. It was,
okay.
yeah. It was very
Nice.
Because the last time I cried and I wasn't high watching a film was Spider-Man.
You didn't cry for the Batman?
Oh no, I was just pure ecstasy.
Really?
It
I
was
teared
just-
up.
I mean, like I welled
A
up,
few
but I'm
times,
saying like
yeah.
actually have
Oh,
a
like
tear
cry.
roll down my face.
Yeah.
Like even I count one tear rolling down my face as crying.
Okay. But yeah, I cried. I was actually a mess for Spider-Man the first time I saw it.
And it was specifically like it wasn't when I don't even care. It wasn't when Aunt May died.
Really?
It was
I cried then.
No, it was literally the moment that I saw Andrew Garfield's silhouette because I was like, I
You
fucking
know
knew.
what? I did too. I wasn't expecting to cry for Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
But I fucking did. Like a lot.
It was more so honestly than the Toby spot. for me.
Really?
Yeah, like I was happy for the Toby spot. I was excited, but and we've talked about this. They should have separated those and made you think like, oh, like it's not coming. I understood why they needed to do it right then.
Yeah.
But I was just like, it was almost like too much all at once where I was like just getting over the excitement of Andrew Garfield to where like it wasn't as high of a jump from like, oh, like they're just doing some random dialogue to holy shit, here's Andrew Garfield, and then start waning down and then holy shit, here's Toby. So you're like going up to almost the same level. It's just not from the same starting point. So it's not as impactful. I don't
Right.
think.
And I do understand why they showed Andrew Garfield first.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't want to like show Toby first because Toby's the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I still have a very fond place like in my heart for all three versions of Spider-Man, but like
Yeah.
there's something about the Andrew Garfield one just I think it's nostalgic because he didn't get to finish.
There was no closure for
Yeah.
sure. So
And so I think that's why that and
I think that's what this was. It was closure.
yeah, and it randomly made it to where we probably are not we're going to get another version of closure here in like 3 years. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yep. But yeah.
Some interesting
But yeah.
stuff has been happening.
To you?
No, just in general.
Oh, okay.
I guess so. My week, I forgot to answer, has been, or my last 2 weeks have been interesting. Just working at a liquor store and doing a bunch of tastings at liquor store, and that's about it. Honestly, just playing video games, hanging out with the wife and kids, and crying watching a stupid TV show.
yeah.
Other than that, I mean, nothing too crazy.
Okay.
Finally starting to get back into the gym. I don't know what it was about this last month. I just couldn't get the energy up to do it.
Wild, dude. I've been going 4 months now.
Damn. Well, it was
Consistently.
as soon as my schedule started changing to nights.
Yeah.
It became immediately harder because I don't
Right.
get out of work on my early days until 8 and on Friday and Saturday till 11. So it's like the gym isn't open 20. If the gym was open 24 hours, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Right.
But
They close like at 11 or something?
midnight.
10? Oh, midnight?
yeah.
Okay.
And then they open at 4.
So it closes for 4 hours?
Yeah. I'm like, when?
Just stay
They used
open?
to be 24.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and a lot of gyms rolled their hours back. I don't even know if 24-hour fitness is 24 hours anymore.
Yeah, they're like 23-hour fitness.
I think they're like 18-hour fitness. I mean, I don't know, though, because I don't go there.
Yeah.
If it's in your name, you really shouldn't scale back your hours. We'll see.
Yeah. Frauds.
Yes, indeed.
Fraud.
I'm suing.
It's the biggest fraud of all time. Well, Urban Meyer is the biggest fraud of all time.
Can you please elaborate?
Urban Meyer, the coach for the Jaguars last year, he was a college coach who was very successful, and he came to the pros last year with the Jaguars and completely fucked them over. He kicked his kicker.
Wait, what?
During practice, he kicked his kicker.
Where?
What do you mean?
Like, where did... Show me on the doll where he touched you.
Oh, like the kicker was like warming up, like stretching and shit. And Urban Meyer came and kicked him and called him something because his motivation, or I guess, is like intimidation, even though it doesn't work with grown men. Probably doesn't work in college either, but I'm sure he does it. But and then he called NFL scouts lazy, and then week 4, I think it was, the Jaguars lost in Ohio when they were playing it was either the Bengals or the Browns, I forget which one. But instead of going on the team plane back to Florida with the team, he stayed in Ohio because he has like a bar down there, and there was videos of him and a chick's grinding on him and shit. So he got flamed for that. And then apparently into the season, he didn't know who Aaron Donald was.
I don't know who Aaron Donald is.
Oh, Aaron Donald, he's the defensive tackle for the Rams. He's like probably the best defensive player in the league. He said, "Who's this 99 guy? I'm hearing he might be a problem for us." So he had no idea who Aaron Donald was, but he's calling NFL scouts lazy.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So he's just like accumulation of a whole bunch of shit, and he finally got fired. Like not even after a whole season, he got fired mid-season.
See, I have a weirdly fond place in my heart for the Jaguars. If I had to have a second favorite team, it would probably be the Jags.
Really? Why?
It's literally just because of the owners.
Oh, Shad Khan. Yeah, because the wrestling.
Yeah, because Tony Khan, Shad Khan's son, owns AEW, and a lot of their shows were actually done inside of like Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium and shit like that. So it was kind of cool, like especially to see. WWE has become so. I'm trying to think of the right word. Just washed down, basically.
Yeah.
That it's interesting to actually see them have like a viable competition instead of like for the last 20 years we've had TNA and ROH that one had a TV contract that was decent, but it never did enough to like actually like make WWE scared of anything.
Right.
So like it's cool that like it's actually making them sort of raise their game even though they still are dicking around.
Yeah.
It did make them actually release a halfway decent video game this time though.
Wow.
I was surprised.
Yeah, I kind of heard about it.
It's still like almost, I don't know, it's boring just playing the same shit over and over again though. It just reminds me of the old stuff, but a lot better engine, and I mean the graphics haven't really improved that much though.
Okay. That's interesting. I don't know if I have a second favorite NFL team. I never thought about it.
Literally it's the only other one. And then I was always a really big, when we weren't playing them, I was always a fairly decent fan of the Seahawks.
Okay.
And it was right around the time Wilson came in.
I guess if there was a team I low key like root for, if I want to see them do good, is probably the Jets.
Okay.
But I don't know if that'll ever work out because they're all ass.
I mean, I don't know. Like Broncos are obviously gonna always be my number one.
Yeah.
But here and there, like if I'm watching like a decent matchup, I'll try to find someone to root for. It's 99 times out of 100 not the Patriots or the Raiders, though. So, every now and then something will happen where I'm like, yeah, they deserve it. So
yeah, Raiders go to Super Bowl this year.
I swear to God, if
Book
that
it.
happens, if that does happen, and if so, good for them. But at that point, I'm saying the NFL's fucking rigged.
What do you mean?
Only because of the fact that would make it 3 Super Bowls in a row that the home team won.
Well, actually, the Super Bowl's biggest next season,
I thought it was 2023.
24.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, so we don't go to the Super Bowl this year. We go to the Super Bowl next year, or this year too. Fucking 2 years in a row.
I hate that idea. Like, it makes you be like, oh, okay. I feel like I know who's going to the Super Bowl this year.
If
Like,
there was
it's
ever a
fucking-
team the NFL wouldn't rig shit for, it'd be the Raiders, because Al Davis back in the day had such fucking collisions with the NFL, and they've held it against them ever since.
But it's not Al Davis anymore. He's dead.
No, but they still have held shit against the Raiders since. It's like they haven't forgotten it. It's fucked up.
They're an easy scapegoat.
Yeah.
But now that they moved to Vegas, they're a new team.
Kinda.
New year, new me.
New year, new me. Bunch of players going to prison.
Yeah, they need to do a lot better.
Yeah.
Trying to think of a way to do this without saying shit that drives me nuts that I say all the time.
Nuts.
You know what? Fuck it. Send the news.
We send the news.
And we're going to start off going Big Willie style.
Big Willie. Well, first, let's go over the winners. Overall, the
that's
Oscars,
fair.
and then transition to that.
That's fair.
Speaking of which, I got to pull them up because I don't remember all of them.
I didn't look at them at all, actually.
I know some of them.
I know one of them.
Yeah, I think everyone does.
I don't even know who won that. What was it? The documentary one.
I don't either. I don't think anyone does. Okay, so we'll start off with the biggest award of the night. Best Picture. The winner was Coda, which was, I'm sure you might have seen the trailer. So this daughter, her parents are deaf, and she like sings and stuff, and it's basically about.
Does CODA stand for Child of Deaf Adults?
I don't know. I never even thought of that.
It was just the first.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, Coda won Best Picture. Best Actor, obviously.
Yeah.
Wild Wild West. Wild Wild West.
I love that movie when I was a kid. I don't know why. I
don't
can't
remember a whole
watch it
lot
now.
of it.
The only thing I really remember, I remember the beginning scene where they're in like a saloon and the one dude's dressed up as a chick, which wouldn't go over well now.
That's that steampunk shit in that movie.
And then the the giant robot spider.
Yes.
That carried over from Superman Lives.
Yes.
Yeah. The Thanagarian snare beast.
Sad days. Best Actress, which is what I was pissed about.
Really?
Jessica Chastain won for The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Who did you want to win?
Kristen Stewart for Spencer.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I'm like, yeah. And then Best Original Song, Billie Eilish, No Time to Die, James Bond.
And it wasn't even like that great.
I never
received
even
as a
heard it.
movie.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear a whole lot of people talk about it. It's kind of.
I heard that the ending is it's shitty.
Ana de Armas is in it, so.
He's like, I don't give a fuck. I'm watching for a different reason.
Best Animated Feature, Encanto.
I can completely understand that. My kids go fucking, especially Thomas goes gaga over that
That's
movie.
crazy.
It's catchy as shit too.
Right, that's what I've heard. And
Lin-Manuel Miranda is
yeah.
fucking nuts.
He didn't win Best Original Song. If he did, because Billie Eilish won it,
yeah.
if he did win that, he would have had an EGOT.
He didn't get any Oscars for Frozen?
No.
Damn.
So yeah.
I think it's only a matter of time for him to get an EGOT.
Yeah.
So EGOT is obviously, so it's Tony's, Oscars, Grammy, and
Emmy.
Okay.
Yeah. He just needs the Oscar.
I don't know why I did that backwards. It's because I couldn't think of the E. So I was like, I'm going to go with what I know.
You're going to go.
Does Chance the Rapper have an EGOT?
I don't care.
I'm just asking. I know you used to be into him.
I don't know, honestly. I don't think so. What the fuck was he in a play?
Well, because he has a song where he talks about getting an EGOT.
In his dreams?
Probably. I don't know.
I'll look it up in a
He's
minute.
in a lot of shit. Who knows?
Yeah. Best Director, Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog, the movie Sam Elliott despises. Which is surprising. I'm surprised Denis Villeneuve didn't win, or he wasn't even nominated for Dune. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he wasn't even nominated.
I think it's just too commercial. Like
Maybe.
it's one of those
It
films.
won like 7 other awards, though.
Like it was very artfully directed.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, I haven't watched it. But what I've heard is like it's very artfully directed, so it's kind of fascinating that it wasn't put out for stuff like that. But I think it was more it was like too commercially pushed to where it almost didn't feel like it was going for like that kind of vibe at times from the marketing.
Okay.
I think that might be what hurt it. The other thing that might have hurt it is not quite as many people probably even watched it because of the HBO Max shit.
Right.
So,
and I think other than that, though, it did win like a shit ton of other ones, which we'll get to in a second. Yeah.
Okay.
International feature film goes to Drive My Car from Japan, which I heard a lot of good things about that one. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But it was also nominated for Best Picture.
Oh, wow.
Best Supporting Actress, Ariana DeBose, she was in West Side Story.
Still didn't
She
watch
is the first Latina actress to win Best Supporting Actress since, I think her name's Rita Moreno, who was in the original West Side Story. And that was 60 years ago.
Really?
60 years.
it. That is wild.
Yeah, and they're playing the same part, which is kind of cool.
Huh. That is interesting.
Best Supporting Actor, Troy Kotsur, who was in Coda. He played the dad in that movie. Okay. I don't know if he's actually deaf in real life. That'd be interesting.
Well, see, and it's almost weird because, like, I know that acting is supposed to be a thing of, like, acting.
Yeah.
But now you get in trouble if you're playing a deaf person and you're not deaf. Like, I get creating roles for people. But when you start slapping people's hands because they were just so good at doing something that you were like, oh, I'm going to put them in this role.
Yeah.
And then you get the backlash for that. That kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Which happens a lot. I mean, Peter Dinklage.
Dinklage. I remember it was like a couple years ago. Scarlett Johansson was supposed to play a trans person in a movie.
I remember that.
And that got nixed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that I can understand. Because there's plenty of trans actors that you can give. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for another day.
It's definitely a loaded topic.
Yeah. Best Original Screenplay, Belfast, Kenneth Branagh.
Really?
That's his first Oscar win, I believe.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Because for a while he stopped acting. Because he was the president of Ireland.
He's the president of Ireland, and he directed Thor, the first one, right? Yes, he did.
I thought he...
Second one was a woman directed that one.
It was gonna be a woman, and then they switched directors because it was supposed to be Patty Jenkins.
Let's look that up. Let's look it up, huh?
I'm trying to remember who it was.
He might have been a British guy who directed the second one.
I can't remember. Was it Kenneth Branagh?
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh directed the first one.
Okay, so who directed the second one?
The second one was directed by I
could have sworn it was a dude.
M.
M?
Alan Taylor.
So it was a dude. Okay.
Don't even know who that is.
I think we actually looked it up on this podcast before.
Oh, I'm sure we did.
But
yeah. Best Adapted Screenplay went to Coda. So that's 3 for them
okay.
so far. Skips the bed. Visual effects, Dune.
Okay, that one
Over
makes sense.
Spider-Man.
I
think it's fair because Dune is more practical looking.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man is what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Original score, Hans Zimmer finally won one for best for Dune. Which is surprising. He hasn't won before.
That is actually very surprising, especially with all the Nolan shit he's done.
Yeah, fucking even Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Damn. Let's get to another big cinematography. Greg Fraser for Dune. And Greg Fraser was the DP, the cinematographer on The Batman.
Ooh.
Yeah. So you can get.
Do you think The Batman gets any love next year?
I think so.
Or is it too early?
I think it's definitely in the conversation right now.
Okay.
For best film, cinematography. I don't know about Robert Pattinson.
I think he's gonna get snubbed on that. Yeah.
I think he did a lot of like physical acting.
Yeah.
In the face.
Yeah.
And then he had that monologue in the hospital.
Yeah.
I think Paul Dano should be in the conversation for supporting actor.
See, I've heard a lot of hate for that prison scene.
I like it.
I like it too. Me and you are different though. We actually like. I won't say we're artsy or whatever the fuck. It's
A24.
It's definitely the A24 shit, and it's the fact that we also had a predisposition to like him due to other films we have seen him in.
Yeah.
So maybe we're a little bit more forgiving on certain
Like
shit.
more biased.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
Clits.
Yeah. Where if it were another actor, we probably would have been a little harsher.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so because
I mean, it's nowhere near what like fucking dickhead did with the Joker, Jared Leto.
Oh
So
no!
it's I can no matter what, no one can tell me that it's worse than that.
Because it never is almost over the top. That as he went, it never felt like he was in a different movie.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Because he easily could have. If he went just a tiny bit more over the top than he did, he would have. No.
He was definitely living in the world he was acting in. Like,
Yeah.
You could definitely see, like, you could feel, like, if you really put yourself in his shoes and you pay attention to his acting, you can feel his, like, whole fucking mind just crumbling because he's like, oh, fuck.
Yep.
So, I mean, I definitely get it, but I have heard a lot of complaints about that scene in particular, and I'm like,
Well, then go to hell.
I agree.
Let's move on to, Dune won a bunch of technical stuff: sound, production design, film editing.
Damn.
Cruella won costume design,
I guess I can see that. I still haven't watched it, though.
and that's pretty much it.
All right.
That's the short end of it.
What was the documentary winner? That's the one I think we should know.
Oh, well, let me go back and look
Because
I kind of skipped over it.
Homeboy handled that like a G.
Yes, he did. That was best live action documentary, right?
I believe so.
So it was best documentary feature, Summer of Soul.
Okay. So now that we have gone over the Oscars, are there, other than the Spencer one, are there any snubs that you feel were blatant?
I don't have a snub because I didn't see a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
The snub I've been hearing people say was that Denis Villeneuve didn't even get nominated for Best Director. That's
That
the main
is
one I've been
surprising.
hearing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, especially because, like, the last time he directed a film that I heard about, it took the majority of the awards for the night.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It is definitely wild, like, especially with the love that film was getting when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just critically, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's... I didn't watch enough of it either. I didn't watch the actual thing, like the actual Oscars, and getting a text from you at like 11 o'clock at night blew my fucking mind. I was not prepared for it. I was sitting there I was watching... I think it was while I was still watching Bel Air, actually, like moments after crying. And
Damn, that's ironic.
I know. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it tripped me out. Seeing the smack heard around the world.
Yeah.
The last person in the world I ever expected to do something like that.
Yep. Yeah, so why don't you tell us what happened, and then I'll give my take, and you give your take.
All right. So, normal thing that a lot of presenters do. Chris Rock is up on stage, and he is a comedian. It is in his wheelhouse to make jokes about people.
I mean, that's what you hire him for.
Yes. So he starts off joking with Denzel. Then he moves over to Javier Bardem and his wife. I can't remember her name.
Penelope Cruz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's basically saying, like, Javier Bardem is thinking that if his wife doesn't win, that he definitely can't win because then his wife will be pissed, basically.
Yeah.
He's like, so Javier Bardem is hoping and praying right now that Will Smith wins so he doesn't get shit when he gets home.
Yeah.
And then he turned his attention to Jada Pinkett Smith. And literally, real quick, real light joke, very simple. In my opinion, not at all really disrespectful, just like bringing light to the fact that she's bald. He says, can't wait to see G.I. Jane 2 to Jada. And Will Smith starts fucking cracking up. He looks like he's actually like belly laughing, like it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
He looks over and he sees the look that his wife has on her face.
Yeah.
And you hear Chris Rock talking because the camera's not on Will Smith anymore. And he's just like, oh shit. Like, basically.
Yeah,
and
I don't know what he was expecting. Maybe he thought Will Smith was going to play on it or say something into the microphone
that's
or
what
do
I
something.
expected.
Yeah.
I was like, if I didn't read the subtitle, I would have no fucking clue what was going on.
Yeah.
Like, it blew my mind that he literally just walked up to him, cocked back, and fucking swung a slap that looked like... It looked fucking rough.
You heard it.
Yeah.
And people are saying it was staged. I'm like, you can't stage that.
Yeah. It did look like Chris Rock knew how to take a punch, but I think it's from acting, learning how to act. You learn how to roll with a punch instead of rolling into it. You roll away so you get less impact, and that's how people avoid getting knocked out in boxing, too, a lot of the time. So he hit him fucking hard, and you could just see the stun on his face where he just sat there fucking dumbfounded, and he's like... Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like, literally, verbatim said, Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me. He's like, well, what was his exact phrasing? Basically saying,
I don't know exactly what he said
the
after
most
that.
exciting night in television or
That
something?
was after Will Smith started yelling at him. So Chris Rock said, Will Smith just smacked shit out of me. And then before he went to say something next, then you hear Will Smith in the background.
He's keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Twice in a row.
He said it. So he said it once, and then Chris Rock is like, it was a G.I. Jane joke. Like, trying to say it was just a joke. And then Will Smith said it even fucking louder.
Yeah. He said, okay, I will.
Yeah.
Fine. You see Lupita Nyong'o's face just go, oh my fuck.
And then Chris Rock's like face after Will Smith said it the second time is like so awkward because like he's like, what the fuck?
Well,
It's like, what do you do?
it's just like, so in my opinion, I thought it was the most shocking thing I could have seen because of the fact that he has put on this persona since the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air of like non-violence. Like, the whole point of the show is basically like handling shit like a man or professionally and not losing your cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the show literally starts because his character loses his cool and has to move to fucking Bel-Air.
Yeah.
And throughout his career, like even his rap career, never cursed, none of that. I mean, obviously you have the fucking famous Eminem line, Will Smith doesn't got to cuss in his raps to sell records, well I do, so.
Yeah.
So it's like, you paint this picture of like this dude who has his shit together in your head over the course of almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Just about 30 years now. We're not far off from it. And he's so like squeaky clean in everything he does. Men in Black. Even the dark movies he does, like he's the sole shining light out of it.
Yeah.
He can't even play a bad guy right in fucking Suicide Squad.
Right.
Like, this is a person that's like solely unbelievable as a dickhead most of the time.
Yeah, and that's going to be part of my take as to why.
Yeah. And so like seeing him just go on stage to quote unquote defend his wife's honor, like especially after all the shit she's publicly put him through. So I definitely have the opinion that Will Smith was 100% in the wrong. Should Chris Rock have maybe done a little bit more research before he said something? If he didn't know about the alopecia thing, maybe. But he's a comedian. They're always taught and encouraged to, well, until recently, push boundaries and make shit as close to the border of safe as possible.
Yep.
So I don't really hold him quite at fault because, like, dude, he could have fucking said that to anybody. If he would have said that 20 years ago to Sinead O'Connor, do you think anybody would have fucking threw up arms?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and I don't know. I have seen a few things on Facebook and Twitter going both ways, praising him and demeaning him for it. I personally definitely think, obviously, legality-wise, if Chris Rock wanted to press charges, it shows how in the wrong Will Smith definitely was to put his hands on another person. But Chris Rock handled that shit like a G. Went right back into his monologue, as flustered as he was, because you could tell, because he like stumbled on some words, but he went right through it and just handled business like a pro. Went back and everything was fine.
Yeah.
And later in the night, seeing Will Smith accept the Best Actor award, I haven't seen the movie. I'm not going to say he doesn't deserve it, but it almost taints the win. Mm-hmm. Because he's not going to be remembered for the win that night. He's going to be remembered for something completely different. It kind of taints a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Especially the legacy of that film. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. Okay. What are your thoughts?
Here's my thoughts. I'm going to give you my thoughts. So earlier today, I kind of put something on Facebook, and I'll kind of repeat a little bit of it and then go deeper, because I didn't want to write like a whole book on fucking Facebook. But essentially, my point was, my main thing, well, one of the main things is I also saw on Twitter and Facebook people either taking one side or the other, saying Will Smith isn't right and Chris Rock was wrong, yada yada. I think in reality, it's kind of a situation where you could say both are wrong in a way. And that really depends on if you see the joke as offensive or not.
Yeah.
So assuming that Chris Rock knew she had alopecia, I'd say the joke, while it being tame, especially for Chris Rock standards, could be viewed a little tasteless if he did know that she had alopecia. And if you're looking at it that way, then yeah, he's a little wrong for punching below instead of punching up.
Well, and especially if you don't experience or don't know someone who has experienced something like that, you don't know how harmful it can be to their mental health.
Yeah. So with that being said, if you're viewing it in the lens of that joke, or he knew she had alopecia, so the joke's offensive, he could be wrong in that sense. But that still doesn't justify the way Will Smith handled it. You don't assault another man on national TV in front of all your peers, in front of the million people watching, in front of Chris Rock's family, who I'm guessing watched it. But so yeah, in that sense, you could say both are in the wrong. I don't think it's like a black or white issue. I think there's a lot of shit going on there. And with that being said, I think this is very like uncharacteristic of Will Smith, especially from like interviews I've heard of other actors talk about Will Smith and saying he's like a really good guy.
Yeah.
I think everyone in normal life has like an asshole moment where but it doesn't mean like they're an asshole.
Yeah.
So I think this was like his moment, but it's just like way more extreme because there's more eyes on it and it's on like a big stage like that.
Yeah.
And what I also said on Facebook was I think this goes way deeper than just that. I think this is uncharacteristic of him because he's been going through so much shit, like as far as his marriage to Jada Pinkett Smith and how toxic that is and how people made a joke out of him when all like the entanglement shit came up and stuff. I don't think anyone took his side seriously. So when you have all that like pent up anger and all that pent up sadness and emotion that he had, I feel like it finally just like that like moment kind of just triggered him to where he reacted like that.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think he's necessarily mad at Chris Rock. I think Chris Rock was just at the wrong end of the fucking
wrong place, wrong
yeah,
time.
right, yeah.
I definitely agree. I mean, me and you literally, you can rewind, go back to a podcast, maybe a second quarter of last year.
Yeah.
Where we talked about this very subject with this couple, where we both said if you watch the interview, he looks broken.
Yeah.
Like, if you go back and watch when she basically comes out to the world saying that she had a entanglement with August
Alsina.
Yeah. You can definitely see how much it killed him. Like, as a man watching another man go through shit, that was hard.
Yeah.
Especially like someone like if you I mean everybody knows how it is to be with somebody for the most part and like love someone so like unconditionally you would do almost anything for them and like putting yourself in that person's shoes and imagining it as your significant other, it'd be fucking devastating.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the kind of pressure that you would be put under, especially if you've done everything you have, if you're him, to stay with her and publicly like praise her and like worship her over all these years. And it finally comes to that. And then you're still supporting her and being with her and staying with her, but you're being belittled by your fellow men because of that. Or people who, I don't, I think that would probably be the right way to put it. Just your fellow men. I'm trying to be PC, but it's hard. It's going to tear a person down.
Yeah.
It's going to make it hard for them to like walk around with a smile. I mean, who's to say this isn't the first time he's had an incident, but like, even as a person, like I have the opinion that stuff shouldn't be handled in public like that.
Yeah. And that's one thing celebrities do, especially that for some reason, like they decided to do that interview like in a public setting.
Yeah.
I'm like, that shit only fucking celebrities do.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, another point I try to make is like that's why there's like a disconnect between the celebrity lifestyle and like everyday normal people.
Oh yeah.
It's like these two worlds don't mesh.
Oh yeah. Not only that, but like, and I'm not saying that celebrities don't have nerves.
Yeah.
But like, there's something special that a lot of these like big time people have, or I guess technically should say almost don't have, is like not a filter, but like a level of nervousness that like a normal, quote unquote, normal person doesn't get, where they're so used to being able to just spout shit out of their mouths and like public eating it up like it's gospel.
Yeah.
That they're not always concerned with holding back.
Yeah.
And it's more easy to draw shit that could be embarrassing, harmful, or whatever to their career out of a person when they're on that big of a stage.
Yeah.
I do think that this was like purely coincidence, wrong place, wrong time for Chris Rock.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, just based off of like the stuff I have heard about him or have watched about him, stuff like that, I don't think he did this maliciously. If he did, I mean, it's shitty.
Yeah.
But as an adult, we should all be able to take responsibility for our own actions and not fly off the handle and show the upcoming youth that that's okay. Or even the current adulthood that that's okay. Because for some reason, people latch on to celebrities and will emulate what they see. And you have a very large responsibility if you do have that kind of platform.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by the disconnect between celebrity fucking lifestyle and like everyday normal people, because normal people see that, but what they don't see is that as a non-celebrity, you're not going to get away with stuff like that like he did. Like Will Smith was a big name, he was going to win an Oscar that night, so the Oscars, you know, there's a different like perspective in that way. Whereas if we were at some type of like works award ceremony or some shit like that, and we go up and we slap one of your coworkers, you're gonna get fucking taken out of there. You might get arrested, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get away scot-free like Will Smith did, and that's one of the fucked up things about it is that he did that. He assaulted somebody. He went back and sat down in his seat and still got an Oscar, got a standing ovation, and in his speech he was talking about like love and all this other shit. Mm-hmm. And it's just like it sets like a bad example, and it can lead to like people doing that, like replicating that, or do something worse.
Oh yeah. Well, especially if you don't see any repercussions, it's gonna be like, oh well, I can do that shit too.
But then they don't realize that that's not how it's gonna work.
Yeah,
if you do it.
I mean, but that's the way the world works a lot.
Yeah,
you see celebrities constantly getting DUIs or accidentally killing people. Like, I'm not gonna spout out names or nothing. There's plenty of examples to go back, because I'm sure like the first person that a lot of people's minds will go to is like Caitlyn Jenner when she killed that person in that car accident. But it goes back way further than that. Matthew Broderick, driving in Ireland with a girl he was dating and killed 2 people because he was driving like an asshole.
He was dating Jennifer Grey at the time.
Yes.
And she got like really messed up from that accident.
And that was right after Ferris Bueller.
Yeah.
And it fucked his career. Like, I was amazed that he ever got to do Inspector Gadget. Like, that's insane. Like, the fact that he's actually allowed to continue acting now is kind of a miracle. Like, the fact that it didn't, like, and nobody, like, you ask a regular, everyday person who's not, like, obsessed with movie trivia or all this other shit, no one knows.
Yeah.
It's something that, like, unless you were alive at the time and watched the news, or you heard it on a fucking YouTube channel, you're not going to figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's very common that these things, especially with celebrities, get brushed under the rug because A, money gets involved, or public eye, people just go lighter on people who are famous, it seems. Yeah. So, I mean, that definitely could be harmful to society as a whole if stuff like this keeps going. I mean, like, it's happened multiple times over the years in much smaller doses, and like the Kanye and Taylor Swift thing wasn't like physically assault or anything, and like at least we were all able to move past that. But like everyone thought he was a fucking psycho when that happened.
Yeah.
Like that was the one time I think most of the internet agreed on something of him just like going out of his way. Whereas like this is it is amazing to me how divided people are on the way they look at it.
Yeah. And as far as the Kanye thing, like that, like I've been saying this for a long time too. That guy needs like a lot of help.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about like men's mental health that I don't think people take serious, because especially with this Will Smith thing, when you have like issues like that go unchecked for so long and you try to internalize it, you think it's okay, but something like this can just happen like that.
Yeah.
So one little thing could trigger you, and then shit just goes off the rails.
Yes, and I agree, and I really am trying to say this without it sounding political at all. There are a lot of movements that a lot of people are championing, and everyone has something different that they want to promote and try to fix. It does fascinate me, however, how certain movements almost feel like they actively work against others. Like feminism largely, or at least extreme feminism. I think there's a healthy in-between and middle ground for a lot of things. But the caricature of it is, it regularly says, like, ignore the way that, like, men's mental health is, and only focus on, like, this subsect of a country or the world or whatever. It's something that if we're going to preach, like, love and caring for everybody, we need to do it all the way around. We can't expect dudes to be strong while we take care of everybody else first, and then come back and take care of ourselves 30 years down the line when it's too late and we don't have the time.
Yeah.
It's something that I think everybody in the world, man, woman, however you want to identify, whether it's another gender, another race, whatever, everybody, the world is a lot more complicated than we can go into. But we all need to work together as like one, instead of trying to divide and create more issues. I'm all about like, hey, let's all, like, gay marriage, everything cool, let's do it. But we can't ignore something because we're championing something else. We all should work together to make sure everyone's okay. But men are largely ignored a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to definitely see something positive come out of this, as hard as it actually seems. I think that if it's handled the right way, like, this could be a great PSA for handling all mental health, not just men's mental health, but like all mental health seriously. And like watching someone that a lot of people grew up with as a huge role model, like I still, while I have gotten tired of some of his acting, like his old stuff, like Fresh Prince, like I can go back and watch the sitcom over and over again because like it holds a special place in my heart. I watched it like religiously as a child. So it almost, it's like watching a member of your family break down in a situation like that. So
Yeah.
I guess all I'll say is, while I don't think that he was in the right by any means, and I don't necessarily think Chris Rock was 100% in the wrong, I just hope that he finds the time to like finally take care of himself and take this seriously. And I honestly wish that this shit would go away so like it wasn't all that was focused on, because I'm sure he is probably in his head right now and can't probably stop scrolling on the fucking socials, because he is fairly active on a lot of social media stuff.
Yeah.
So if he's not able to stay away from the comments and the toxicity of like just the internet as it is, it could be very bad.
Yeah.
So
I have a couple like closing pieces.
okay.
My first big one is, like, even though there are like memes and shit going around, like at its core, like this isn't like a funny situation at all.
And don't get me wrong, like if you have a group of friends you can joke with stuff about, it's one thing.
Yeah.
But blasting it all over the place is
Yeah.
kind of gross.
And I don't think anything will change until people start viewing it as not funny, and that's actually like deeper than that. And as far as Will Smith goes, and this kind of relates to people trying to justify him. Like this, that's another reason we won't move past this, is because people are justifying it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter like what the joke was or whatever, like it doesn't justify what he did. And I don't know. I just don't. I think until people see it that way, shit like this is gonna continue to happen, and toxic relationships are not gonna be looked into because people are going to expect a certain standard when it comes to this. And I'm already seeing it with a bunch of women that are like championing this. Like, this is how you defend your woman or whatever. And I don't think he was defending her, because when you say you're defending somebody, that implies like that person is like an actual danger.
Yeah.
Like that you defend that way. But when it comes to like a joke, you're not defending. You're acting out of like anger and immaturity at that point.
Yeah. And regardless of whether it's like a man and a woman, or a woman and a woman, or a man and a man,
Yeah.
it puts a lot of pressure on the other spouse in any situation, in any relationship. Puts a lot of pressure on, like, okay, if I don't fucking stand up for the person I'm with now, does it make me look like an asshole?
Yeah, and there's different ways of standing up. Like, standing up doesn't mean you go and fucking assault a guy for like making a joke or calling a name or calling your wife a name or whatever. Like, if there's actual physical altercation, then yeah, but you don't. The first thing should not be to resort to violence, because it makes you weak. It's weak at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, I do agree 100%.
Especially in this situation.
Oh yeah. I really wish there was like a happy way to lead off of this, because it's scary.
Yeah.
And what I was gonna say is, do you think we as a society will ever get to a point where this type of stuff will not be an issue, where you don't have to worry about that? And before you answer, the only thing that worries me, or not the only thing, one of many things that worries me that couldn't ever come, is watching men and women obsess over serial killers and stuff in sexual nature. Like, you see it happen all the time, where like these serial killers get married in prison.
Oh yeah.
Like, it happens all the time. I can't think of a serial killer that like didn't have that kind of relationship in prison. And most of the time, it's some people are doing it to get rights to stories and stuff like that. But like Richard Ramirez married his wife while he was in prison serving. Did he get sentenced to death, or did he just get life? I don't remember. I didn't watch the documentary.
Don't remember. I gotta watch it again. But she was like legit, like in a relationship to be in a relationship with him.
Where that's the thing that like scares me, is like, if you already have people touting this is how you stand up for your woman type of stuff, or significant other, whatever, and you have those other people who, I mean, look at Charles Manson. I mean, I don't know a whole lot of people who ever said, oh, he's a good looking dude.
Yeah.
But still, like, that presence like demanded something, to where he had pen pals and women trying to marry him while he was in prison till he died.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah, and I don't unfortunately, the stuff like this is going to happen until people start seeing things for what they are.
Yeah.
As far as like toxic relationships, mental health, and stuff like this. Like, if people don't start to like deconstruct these things and understand that there's a root for all this stuff, like, it's just going to continue to happen. And it's also going to continue to happen when people just pick sides on everything.
Oh yeah.
So
no one can stay quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, that we can keep going on this forever, and I don't know if that's the right thing to do. So I think, to close it off, the main point that I think I want people to take away from this is, take care of yourself, take care of the people you love. Don't be a dick about it. If you're having a hard time, I get it. Try not to lash out. Take care of yourself, and if you need to, go to a therapist. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you need to go on medication. Just take care of yourself. It's very important. It's a lot more important than people realize. I mean, I've lost people to suicide, and it's one of the hardest things I've ever been through, and it's rough watching anybody else go through it. And if you let it go unchecked long enough, it's terrifying how something like that can break someone down.
Yeah, and my last thing is be aware of like your situation and be aware of who you're close with and realize when a situation is bad and realize that you can get out of said situation before it ever leads to anything bad.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
This is one time I will, just because I can't think of another way to say it. With that being said, some lighter stuff.
Oh, okay. I was reading the last part. And I was like,
No, I'm not actually going to do that.
okay.
There was something that happened this week that was actually exciting, and a lot more in our wheelhouse.
Yeah. It was something that we knew was coming.
This
but
was
it
something
finally
that
happened.
Yeah, this was teased in an interview immediately after the Batman came out, and because I introduced the last one, this one's all yours, sir.
Okay. So it appears that Matt Reeves came through on his word of releasing a deleted scene from the Batman in which we get a pretty much, I wouldn't say full look, but a pretty good look at the Joker.
Yeah, it's blurred.
Yeah, it's blurred, but this was the scene that Matt Reeves had initially planned to put in the movie and decided to take it out last minute. This is basically a scene where Batman goes to the Joker to try to get some intel on the Riddler and try to figure out, how he's going to handle this case that we see in the movie.
Excuse me. So, because I know me and you have a habit of doing this, and we've already done it outside of the podcast. Taking it out of the context of the film.
Yes.
Okay. What did you think of the scene?
I thought the scene was well directed, like the rest of the movie. As far as what's going on in the scene, see, it's hard to talk about it without thinking of it in the context of the movie.
And I do get that 100%. I think personally, it felt like a huge homage to Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, it's very much Clarice Tompkins or Starling, whatever the fuck, talking to Hannibal Lecter to get insight into another serial killer.
Yeah.
This one is Batman talking to Joker about trying to figure out how to figure out who the Riddler is, basically. Yeah. In context of the film, it can be seen as cheap. I don't personally think it really is. Me and you have had the talk about, well, if he felt he shouldn't put one in, he shouldn't have put both in, and I agree with that, but at the same time, I'm still okay with it. Being the film being the way it is. Yeah. Would I have enjoyed it with this extra scene in it as well? Yes, probably just as much. I don't think it would have impacted it. The way I was really worried they were going to do the Joker was overexpose him and over rely on him in the storytelling of the film. Using him for two scenes. The second one, honestly, more relying on the first one being in the film to make it make more sense is the only reason I would have wanted that scene in. Otherwise, you could do without both of them. Yeah,
and that was my main thing about the scene that was in the movie. It doesn't take anything away from the movie itself. It doesn't make me like the movie any less.
Yeah.
It's just something that kind of fell out of place. And I think if he would have added this scene in the movie towards the beginning or middle or whatever, it would have made that scene not as jarring.
Yeah.
But as far as this scene itself, I like the interaction between Batman and Joker.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the Killing Joke and shit like that. The interrogation kind of thing. But
I can see that.
The thing I didn't like is, if we're talking about this scene in the context of the movie, Batman was going to spend this whole movie, or a good majority of it, trying to figure out who the Riddler was and why he's doing all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And the Joker kind of figures it out within 3 seconds. And he lets Batman know all this intel and shit like that.
See, and I do agree with it. Does cheapen a couple things,
Yeah.
like those specifically. But I also think it strengthens the why that Joker even talks to the Riddler in the jail at the end of the film. It explains his interest in actually talking to him. It makes it to where you're like, okay, like he already knows enough about him. Like he knows exactly who he's talking to.
Yeah, if we're talking about just like Joker's relationship to the Riddler, I can see that.
Yeah. I think those scenes work off of each other very well. I think the biggest issue I have is if this scene were in the film, where in the film would it actually go? I mean, I get that you said it would be towards the beginning or maybe the middle.
I think it would have been right after the commissioner dies. Because I even think that's the picture that the Joker looks at when he gives him the file.
See, and here's my other issue with it, okay? Because up until the point where they capture the Riddler, most of the police force is still largely against Batman having anything to do with talking to prisoners or anything. How would he have gained access to the Joker if most of GCPD was still against him?
Probably with the help of Gordon, I'm sure they would have added something like that.
I'm sure, but if he's on camera, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations where, like, yes, you could make that. I don't know if I'd call it like a leap, but like,
well, I mean,
you could
it's
make that connection.
It's like the same deal with why didn't the police unmask Batman when after he got blown up? Like, it's never told to you why, but you're assuming, well, maybe Gordon told him not to take his mask off. It's like one of those things that you're not told, but you just assume.
Yeah. I wish they would have gone with. That's the only one time in the film where I'm like, I could have maybe like wrote this a little bit better, but not to the where. And honestly, it's just stealing from the comics. Like when people in the comics have tried to take out Batman's cowl, they get electrocuted because he has like a defense system. I think that would have worked perfect, but it also makes sense why he doesn't because of the fact that this is like a very homegrown bat suit. But you do show earlier in the film that he's essentially like not immune to electricity, but the bat suit is like insulated to where he's at less risk.
Yeah.
So I think it still could have worked, but I mean, it's just a nitpick.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things in this movie that you just have to assume shit that goes on.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm fine with. I get tired of movies holding my hand when I'm watching them and like explaining every little thing that you don't see. It's like every now and then it's nice. Like especially if it's like a central piece of the plot.
Yeah.
But if it's something very small that can be explained away with like a couple of quick thoughts, I don't mind it.
Right.
Like I mean, I'm not going to catch everything. I'm not like a fucking Coen's brother film detective like type stuff like that. Like I'm not able to catch like a stain on the floor when I've never seen a house before, shit like that. So I definitely appreciate what this film did, and I am actually torn on what I would do with that scene, but if I could, I'd just keep the film as it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think it was a good thing that he took it out, and it kind of builds up anticipation for the Arkham Asylum show.
Oh, 100%.
If anything, if this scene does anything, that's what it does for me. Because I do like his take so far on the Joker.
Yes.
And for me, I know I saw a lot of people say or complain that he's just using Heath Ledger's voice and all this other shit. I'm like, I didn't get that at all. There's definitely some mannerisms that he did with his mouth that are kind of like Heath Ledger, as far as like the lip smacking and shit.
I think that's natural.
That's a natural thing. Yeah. But as far as his performance itself, I didn't get Heath Ledger.
Yeah. Well, the voice wasn't quite as whiny. Like, and I don't want it to sound like I'm saying, oh, like Heath Ledger's Joker sounded whiny. It's just like the tone and like the pitch that he used, it didn't match. It wasn't the same.
Yeah, because Heath Ledger almost has like a clown type of voice where it's high pitched, but it's kind of raspy in the same way.
Where it's like almost a growl, but not like yeah. Where he tried going dark, whereas this one it felt more like, I don't know if carnival-esque is the right word.
Like he just has a high pitched like New York kind of accent.
Yeah, it's definitely more accented than any version of the Joker we've gotten before, even more than Jack Nicholson's.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds New York.
Yeah.
It sounds very like almost Italian.
Yeah,
Like,
and he sounds like a younger Joker too.
yeah, he definitely does. And like that's the thing. That's what I'm here for. I am here for world building. I am here for all that shit. I am more than happy to see a fresh take on the Joker. I loved Joaquin Phoenix's take. I loved Heath Ledger's take. I really enjoyed Jack Nicholson's take back in the day. I get a kick out of Cesar Romero here and there.
Yeah.
I'm all for seeing new iterations of Joker because I think a lot of actors can bring something new and interesting to these roles.
Yeah.
Everybody except for Jared Leto.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, like as far as like the look of Joker, like I've seen people complain about it, but at the same time, like, what else are you supposed to do at this point?
Right.
Like with the look,
Yeah.
I'm like,
I mean, unless you fucking cut his whole face off and do Death in the
Death
Family.
the Family,
or
yeah.
Death of the Family.
which they kind of did in Gotham, right?
Yeah, which it's like, and that's another thing. Like, he wasn't the worst thing. Side note, I'm extremely excited for the Obi-Wan show, specifically because of that guy, though.
He's gonna be in it.
Most likely.
Oh, nice.
Opinionated. A lot of people, a lot of rumors are swirling around that he could be showing up in the show as Cal Kestis from Fallen Order.
Oh yeah,
So, it'd be
that'd be
interesting.
kind of cool.
But yeah, I definitely, I'm here for Barry Keoghan's
Yeah,
iteration.
he definitely intrigued me to see more.
Oh yeah, it was definitely unique, especially the actual like malformation of like his skull and his lips and shit like that, like his scars basically.
Yeah, like he looks like he legit fell into like acid.
Yeah.
even though Matt Reeves said he didn't, but
It's a congenital birth defect, but some of the scars look like it's either
he did it himself.
so there's three options then. A, he did it himself. B, Batman did it to him when they had their first clash. And C, multiple surgeries through growing up trying to fix shit.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing about this one is because you can tell like that's one thing that's different in this one because Heath Ledger he scarred his own face up.
Yeah.
Because he says it. He says it, and it happened different ways, but he
Yeah.
says he did it, and he paints his own face.
Yeah.
And Joaquin paints his own face, but this guy, like something actually happened to him,
Yeah.
and you don't know what it is, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I do enjoy that. And that was one thing. If there is any comparison to Heath Ledger, it is the fact that you never get a solid answer
Yeah.
of what happened. But like,
Um,
it's not even addressed.
Yeah,
Is
and-
the nice thing in this.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they will on the show.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd kind of like to see how he got that way.
Yeah, I would definitely enjoy the explanation. It's one of those things where like it's fun to theory craft, but actually knowing and have a solid answer for that would be interesting. Which is nice that Matt Reeves kind of gave us at least a foundation to build on in our heads.
Yeah, and you don't need to necessarily give him an origin story.
No.
But you can just show how he.
Yeah, I don't want to know
that.
his fucking name.
Yeah, I just want to know how he got like that.
Yeah, I don't need. Why can't I think of it?
What?
His name in
And
Jack.
Jack Napier?
Yes, thank you.
Or Arthur Fleck?
Oh fuck. See,
I didn't mind that. Arthur, for
I
some reason,
enjoyed the
fit
movie.
him.
Yeah, I enjoyed the film, but I don't have a need to put a name to the Joker.
I mean, I can see why they did it for that movie.
Yeah.
Because it's fine for that movie, but like if they would have gave like Heath Ledger Joker a name or some shit, I would have been upset. Because that's perfect. How it is.
Unless it's as corny as Joe Kerr, I don't want it. Because they did that in the comics for a while. They were like, he like, something happened. I can't remember exactly what it was, but some event went into place where like basically erased his knowledge of like the Joker, and he was able to like live his life as a person, and his name was Joe Kerr, like Kerr. Like,
Yeah.
and it was just interesting to see. And then like all of a sudden he gets a glimpse of the Batman or the bat symbol or something,
He gets triggered. He's
Yeah,
like, "Oh."
it's fucking like it's like that basically.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really good stories you can do with the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them maybe not so realistic because like the White Knight is a great storyline, but it has no basis in reality because at no point would we ever forgive a serial killer for killing like thousands of people and then be like, hey, let's reform him and let him run for mayor. Like it wouldn't work realistically, but like those stories are fun.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing that like while Joker has always been a sociopath, like there's a reason he's worked and why, as sad as it is, and I would love to see new supervillains get the stage for once, it's why he's so intriguing and they constantly bring him back. It's a design because it's the purple and green is automatically like it's set there to trigger something in your head where like, oh, like there's some swagger, it's the suit, it's everything about him. It's the way he walks, the way he talks, the laughing, the fact that he's the Joker and he never fucking tells a good joke. Like shit like that. It's all built to creating this legend of like this monster that is the antithesis of Batman.
Yeah, and I thought my jokes were bad.
What is the joke in the Killing Joke that ends the fucking thing?
I forget.
Let me look it up really fast. It's corny too, but
Batman is just like,
and he starts the laugh at the end. Oh, that was a comic that did give me fucking chills at the end, just not knowing.
yeah.
Killing Joke.
Final joke.
Maybe. Right. And what in the hell? All right. I can't find it.
Find the joke.
So here's the joke, which can be used as a metaphor between the relationship of Batman and Joker. See, there were these two guys in a lunatic asylum, and one night they decided they don't like living in an asylum anymore. They decided they're going to escape. So like they get up onto the roof, and there, just across this narrow gap, they see the rooftops of the town stretching away in the moonlight, stretching away to freedom. Now, the first guy, he jumps right across with no problem. But his friend dare not make the leap. You see, he's afraid of falling. So then the first guy has an idea. He says, "Hey, I have my flashlight with me. I'll shine it across the gap between the buildings. You can walk across the beam and join me." But the second guy just shakes his head. He says, "What do you think I am, crazy? You'd turn it off when I was walking halfway across." Like, it's not a great joke.
Yeah.
But, like...
It makes Batman laugh.
For
some reason.
I do get it. Like, it's like, it's a dad joke.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. There's always been this thing where, like, he's always thought he was a lot funnier than he fucking is. And it's always been intriguing for some reason.
Yeah. And why did Batman laugh?
Well, there's a lot of arguments for that comic. There's Batman legitimately just thought it was funny. And it was like a closing to that. And then there's the other version of the story where Batman starts laughing because he breaks his sanity because he's reached his edge, where this man has tried to take out not only one of his best friends with Jim Gordon, but he also tortured him with photos of his daughter potentially being raped, and also right after she had been paralyzed. So it was a thing of like, he felt like his not being there for the people he saw as family and letting them be maimed and tortured was his breaking point. So he kills the Joker. It shows his break of sanity. And then on the panel, you see a silhouette of potentially Batman's hands around Joker's throat. Yeah.
And then you just see like the talk bubble saying like have the laughs, and then Joker just stops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't remember. I feel like I remember seeing like a panel towards the end that says like crack right around the time.
I have it out there. We'll look at it right now.
Okay. But I vaguely want to say I remember it saying like crack or something, like implying he's dead.
Yeah.
But obviously the writer of the comic says that yes, that's what happened. And then DC says no.
No.
Because we use that to build to Oracle, basically.
Yeah.
So
Oracle.
And you can't get rid of Joker because that is it's their moneymaker. It's their second largest moneymaker next to Batman.
Yeah.
I mean, Joker sells more merchandise than Superman
It's just
ever
like,
has.
why can't you have Joker die in one story, like a one shot? Like definitively he died in this standalone thing.
Because they'll still bring him back through multiverse and shit.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, if you have like a one-off thing that is not related to anything else, then why the fuck not?
I'd be perfectly fine with it.
Yeah.
I honestly think at a certain point, I mean, a lot of our characters have aged up with us growing up. So it would be nice to actually like see them evolve in a way that's more than just, oh, here, let's add 7 years after 80 years of comic books. Like, I love Batman. And would it, as a fan, kill me to see somebody not Bruce Wayne in the cowl just because that dynamic has always been there and been so fucking interesting? It would definitely change things.
Yeah.
But it drives me nuts that we're so reliant on telling new stories with the same characters instead of actually letting shit evolve and letting Batman deserves, if any superhero deserves a happy ending, it's Batman. Yeah. They should let him go off with Catwoman, get married, and let someone else take over.
They kind of gave him a happy ending in The Dark Knight Rises.
I mean, yeah, but in the comics, they're still pushing the Bruce Wayne story. And they've teased him retiring with Catwoman multiple times. It feels like it's almost time for them just to do that and hand the cowl over to Dick Grayson or Damian Wayne or fucking anybody.
Yeah.
It would feel like the right thing to do.
I won't be content until I see a Batman movie that I want to see. Like, as much as I love the Batman, there's still not like a Batman on screen that I'm envisioning in my head. If that makes sense.
No, I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. If I were ever able to make a Batman film, I know exactly where I'd go.
Where?
It would be the battle for the cowl.
Okay.
It would be Robin versus Nightwing versus Red Hood versus Red Robin. Throw in fucking everybody. Throw in Spoiler, Batwoman, fucking Batgirl, Oracle. Like, let's fucking go. Like, we just get over this huge, devastating loss of Bruce Wayne dying, and someone needs to step up and be Batman. And watching the dysfunction between the Robins. And you don't even need prequel films. Just jump straight into it. Like a live-action battle for the cowl would be fucking dope.
See, what I would do is essentially kind of what Matt Reeves did, but I'd take multiple stories and kind of put them in one. I'd take aspects from a bunch of different ones. Because I have something in my head that I can't like put my finger on yet. But it's just, with any movie you see, like superhero movie, there's always something you want to see that you never see.
Oh, yeah. 100%. I mean, me and you've already gone over that with my opinions on a lot of other superheroes.
Yeah.
Batman's one that, if you fuck with Batman the wrong way, people are going to be pissed. That's why, like, as much as I'd love a Battle for the Cowl movie, they would never kill Bruce Wayne in a film or in a comic book. So, like, not officially, like, the end. They'd have some sort of spinoff where they fucking are still doing Bruce Wayne stories.
Which doesn't make sense to me because, like I said, like you can make a movie that's a standalone.
Yeah.
That has no bearing on anything else. You can bring Bruce Wayne back for a different series that has nothing to do with that movie.
You could, but you saw how much people bitched that the Batman wasn't connected to the DCEU, so.
Well, those are fucking, like, Snyder fans. You see, because this Justice League won something.
It was
a Twitter poll. It was an Oscar thing. And then Army of the Dead won most popular movie or some shit like that. So these Snyder fans are like calling the Snyder Cut an Oscar-winning movie now and all this other shit. And now the Snyderverse is going to be restored. I'm like, you need to chill the fuck out. Like, these people are weird.
They're almost like they need to get help too, in my opinion. Like,
yeah.
I loved the Snyder Cut. I thought it was great. You're not going to get Warner Brothers to backpedal that much.
Yeah.
They did.
Would I like to see a Ben Affleck Batman movie? Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's not going to fucking happen.
No, I'd be happy to see Robert Pattinson and Ben Affleck have their own fucking series. Cool. Go for it.
I would love to see that movie, and I'll also be fine if I never get that movie, which we will never get that movie.
It's sad to say, but yeah.
Yeah. But these people are, like, some of these people are legit kind of, like, freaky. Like, with their obsession of it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like,
the world has been that way for a while, though. I mean, we already went over the serial killer aspect, people trying to marry people who are...
Yeah.
But then you go into shit like Bjork Stalker.
That guy's fucking freaky.
Yeah. Stuff like that where, like, people literally... Or what was the girl from... And it wasn't American Idol, was it? X Factor? Or...
Christina Grimmie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
That's fucked.
Yeah, dude. Like, people obsessing with celebrities to the point where, like, they fucking stalk them and try to kill them. Shit like that. I mean, I know a couple, was it last year or the year before? There was a female wrestler in WWE, Sonya Deville. This dude was like obsessed with her. And she's a lesbian. And he had been posting like a bunch of like really, I don't know if homophobic's the right word. But he's like obsessed with her. Basically saying like he's gonna turn her straight and shit like that, like really toxically, like gross ways of saying it. Way worse.
That's that toxic masculinity.
Yeah, and then broke into her house and waited for her.
What the fuck?
Like wild shit like that. Like
Did she fuck him up?
Luckily, she had a friend with her and they were able to escape. So
that's a fucking scary situation.
Yeah. And I mean, like obviously she was missing from WWE for a while because like you have to take care of your mental health after something like that.
Yeah, you could have fucking died.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the few times where I will say, hey, WWE did the right thing and like actually took care of someone's like mental before just being like, hey, let's make some more money off of this shit.
Yeah.
It's not very common that any company does that anymore.
That's it's a scary thought.
Yeah.
The amount of creeps that are out there.
Yeah. It's definitely crazy. We can go all day with stuff like this.
Yeah.
But for the viewers' benefit, I think it would be nice to leave with just an overall note of, once again, take care of yourself. Get help if you need it. Get other people help, or try to help people if you think they need it.
And get out of bad situations.
Yes. Don't settle for something because you think it's the only thing you can get. If you're genuinely unhappy or you're genuinely being hurt by someone you're with, it's not worth hurting others or hurting yourself. So
you may think that's the end all be all when you're in it, but once you get out of it, you'll be fine.
100%. So definitely take care of yourself, take care of others, love thy neighbor type stuff.
Love thy neighbor.
And if you are experiencing any hardships, there are no shortage of hotlines to call, of friends you can dial, of parents. And I mean, it can look bleak at times, but keep your head up and reach out to whoever you can. And if you are one of our friends and you're ever struggling with that, I know I speak for myself. I can't speak for Damian. I can assume, but if you ever need me or anything like that, I'm always here.
Yes.
So
I second that.
this has been a very roller coastery, emotionally roller coastered episode of the SuperThwak Podcast. My name is Anthony Stevens.
My name Damian Leyva.
And if you wouldn't mind following us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook,
OnlyFans,
TikTok, and especially YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe on all those platforms, and make sure to listen to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Like, rate, subscribe, and it really helps us reach out to other viewers. We really appreciate it, and we will see you guys next time. Peace!